Nurse Burn is a deck that's been around for a while. The basic idea is that you use cards like Nurse and Bad Reaction to Samochi in combination with cards like Gift Card that heal the opponent. As long as you have a Nurse or a Bad Reaction on the board, your healing effects actually do damage to the opponent. So Gift Card, a card that kind of looks like a joke, suddenly does 3,000 damage to the opponent's life points. And that is a pretty big deal, and this deck was okay back in older school Yu-Gi-Oh! It was a pretty popular rogue choice for many Burn players, and the deck has gotten support over the years. One of the more recent additions, although we are talking about a few years ago here, was that Nurse was changed into a Dark Lord monster. This is great because now you can use Dark Lord support with it. For example, Banishment of the Dark Lords is a way to search it out. So now there's essentially 9 cards that you can draw that turn all of your healing effects into burn effects, which is obviously what you're trying to do. This deck can play a variety of search cards and draw spells, things like Allure of Darkness and Dark Lord Ichtol, as well as Pot of Extravagance or Pot of Prosperity or Pot of Desires. There are so many different cards you could play in a Nurse Burn deck. Now, Nurse Burn, like many other gimmick decks, does have a lot of issues, especially in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! The deck is pretty terrible going second. It doesn't have a lot of ways to bait your opponent's interruptions. It's also pretty bad after side decking. Your opponent is able to put in a lot of back row removal cards to stop your plays, and it's not very consistent. You would think a deck with so many possible searchers and draw spells would be pretty consistent. However, you have to draw a very specific set of cards for this deck to actually work. You want to draw a Nurse or Bad Reaction immediately, but you don't want extra copies of those cards because the extra copies basically do nothing. You want to draw your healing effects, but those cards don't do anything unless you have a Nurse or a Bad Reaction, so you can draw some pretty lopsided hands. Now, these searcher cards and draw spells do help out, but even with those cards, your hands are going to sometimes be pretty unplayable, and when this deck draws unplayable hands, it loses pretty fast. One of the other issues that might not be as important as the other problems I just mentioned is that Try and Guess is a lot worse in 2021 than it was back in 2014. Try and Guess is a normal trap card that says, if each player has an extra deck, declare one extra deck monster card type, either Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz. Both players reveal their extra deck, and the player who has more cards of the declared card type gains 3,000 life points. Now, back in 2014, pretty much every single opponent would have at least a few Xyz monsters in their deck, so it was very common back then to play a bunch of fusions in your extra deck and then use Try and Guess calling Xyz monsters to give your opponent 3,000 life points, which with the Nurse or the Bad Reaction actually turns into 3,000 points of burn damage. In modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Though, even in Master Rule 5, you don't always know what your opponent's extra deck is going to look like. I would say that Xyz is usually still the most common choice for me personally, but it's pretty wide open, and obviously the worst case scenario is that they only have Link monsters, and that would make Try and Guess do nothing. So Try and Guess used to be extra copies of Gift Card, and it certainly is still a great trap in the deck, but it is a lot more risky than it used to be back in the day. From a deck building standpoint, this deck doesn't really have a standard list. It's not very popular these days, so you have a lot of choices that you have to make. For example, Pot of Prosperity and Pot of Extravagance might seem like good choices for this deck, and I don't think you are wrong if you play them. However, I would consider that if you do play them, you can't really play the other draw cards in your deck, which means if you draw the Extravagance or the Prosperity, your deck is going to be pretty good, but if you don't draw them, your deck is going to be a lot less consistent because you've now taken out the other draw cards from your deck. Anyway, for some reason, against my better judgment, I decided to build Nurse Burn on live stream the other day. By the way, follow me on twitch.tv/Dzeeff if you have not already. I really appreciate all of the support that I've gotten over on that platform. So I built Nurse Burn and I tried out a lot of different builds, a lot of different ratios, different tech cards. There were a lot of different variants to Nurse Burn that I used in that live stream. And in today's video, I wanted to show you guys some of the highlights. Throughout the video, you will see different games from different types of Nurse Burn variants that I built in in that stream, and at the very end I will show you guys what my final build for Nurse Burn looked like after all of that testing. I do want to mention that I only played singles in this live stream. As I mentioned earlier, this deck is pretty terrible in full matches in my opinion, and I'm not really looking to play this deck competitively, so I didn't care about trying to figure out how to side deck and navigate the metagame. So it's only singles in today's video, and we got some pretty funny wins as well as some pretty funny losses. Honestly, if you wanted to play a cheesy troll deck to steal some wins against unassuming opponents, you'd be better off playing Mystic Mind Burn. However, Nurse Burn is pretty hilarious when it actually works, and it definitely will make some opponents pretty mad. Also, I keep seeing comments about which simulator I'm playing. I am playing on YGO Omega. It is a new-ish simulator that has a lot of fun features, such as card rarities, which I really like. This simulator isn't perfect, it is still in beta, but personally it's my favorite right now, and I think it looks really good. Anyway, enjoy the clips. Going first, here we go, full combo. Okay, this hand's pretty good. I think we're fine saving this. What are the odds we banish all three nurses? This deck is so cheesy. Okay, come on, hit gift card or trap trick. Perfect. All right, GG. Easy game. This deck is like the most overpowered thing in the game, or it's an unplayable pile of garbage. And that's what I like about it. Tier 1 confirmed. Yep. If I was a replay channel, it'd be like, Nurse Burn first turn kill? Not quite first turn, but... That's so dumb. I have a 100% win rate, so... He banished all 15 cards. We can't try and guess. Oh, so we actually lose. Where'd my 100% win rate deck go? Oh my gosh. Well, 100% win rate in singles. Didn't even set for a lore. Look, I figured my hand was garbage anyway. All right, full combo. Keep the 100% singles win rate going. That is not lethal. 1,000 short. Tough times out there. Okay. Is this Guru? Try and guess kind of sucks right now. It's actually really disappointing. Wait, that is lethal. Oh, if the try and guess hits, it's lethal. What do you think I should call? Probably not Fusion. I have to call Xyz, I think. Fuck! Are you serious? He's playing all Fusions? Why is this card so bad? Oh man, come on, just draw on a gift card. Maybe he's playing the Mirror Force deck. He could have super poly targets. That is a good point. A lot of the extravagant. It is just a Mirror Force deck. Nice. What is this? Any burn card? Not that one. I know I said any, but I didn't mean any. We did it. Joke's on you, dude. Do I have over 25 subs? I don't think so yet. Getting close though, getting close. Okay, I know you guys are gonna laugh at me if I just allure, but is there any advantage, even if I do set these cards do nothing. So like, I feel like I should just allure anyway. Without setting any cards. Anyway, I'm just gonna do it. Like, I know it looks stupid, but it's like, okay, what if I set everything? I still don't have a win condition. No, don't laugh! My hand doesn't have enough burn cards to win anyway. So why would I set? Like, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, in a real tournament, no, like I set all of them, allure, maybe I missed, next turn I draw a nurse or whatever. But like, we're just in singles. I don't know, just a Nurse Burn player. I don't have time to wait it out. Oh my gosh. Okay, this time I have duality, so I'm probably not gonna allure. Isn't that game already? It's not. Oh, what is he playing? I hate this fucking card. Try and guess. This sucks. What a shitty card. Like, this time I'm gonna set my hand. Like, don't laugh at me. Why would anyone want to queue into me? I'm playing this garbage. Oh, that sucks. Those are good cards. Is there any person in the chat, and don't lie, I'm gonna require receipts, that has played Nurse Burn in the last year? Because if not, I am the expert Nurse Burn player. We're just fucked, by the way. Cards. That's the best I can do. You dick. Okay, what can we draw now? Desires into Samochi plus gift card. I mean, we're gonna lose here because he has the ding. It'd be funny if we drew into the burn spell plus whatever. Wait, if he dings the wrong one, we could still win. We might actually win this. 50-50 right here. No! Fuck. I mean, it would have been a 50-50 into a 50-50. Oh, that would have been so good. That was a fun game, though. All right. Looking pretty good. Oh, fuck. Please don't. Nope. Okay, thank you. Shit, I could still lose. What do I call with this? I hate this card in this format. Xyz? Is that the most common? Yes! We got it! GG's. He hit all of them. Oh my gosh. This card is so nerve-wracking. I hate try and guess. It's so awkward. Like, that card used to be like guaranteed basically because everyone's playing the Xyz monsters. This deck gets exponentially worse when you have to play a match, not singles. Legends say that we even played a match in this live stream, but there's no way of proving it, so don't worry about it. If the allure misses, we don't win anyway. So, because we only have 6,000 damage right here. No, I'm not gonna. No, if I just blind allure right here, then people are gonna say I don't optimally allure, and it's gonna discredit the previous allure. But we always play fucking damn it. This card sucks. Oh my gosh, this card is so bad. Why is an upstart at 3? Oh my gosh. Wait, we upstarted him. Oh, we're 1,000 off then. Okay, we're fine. I bet the try and guess doesn't even work. There's no way he plays anything besides 15 link monsters. If he was going to play anything else, which he doesn't, he'd play like a super poly target, which he definitely does not. He plays Synchros. Damn. Yeah, I did consider Reign of Mercy. You used to play that in the deck. I really do miss when Upstart was at 3. This deck was a lot better. Shit, are we playing Duel Links right now? Oh, you're dead, I think, right? Oh, wait, should I have Souls first? Oh my gosh. Anyway. Just win the game real quick. Yo, we're gonna get the biggest chain link in the world. Chain link 6. GG easy. What other dumb decks should we play besides this one? Maybe on like a future stream. By the way, if you haven't already, make sure to follow. Actually, I think we've been getting like constant followers the whole stream, so thank you guys so much for that. I kind of want to see what deck he's playing before I flip the try and guess. Wait, that's not even game either. I can't fucking count ever. I mean, he'll probably trigger the trap hole, so that's the good news. What? What was that? Toon page flip? Let's go Purgatrio. Oh wait, he paid life points. That's not a good idea. Oh, I'm so sorry. Shouldn't have done that. Oh man. Yeah, the page flip isn't gonna save you now, dude. I'm sorry. Toon World instead of Kingdom is odd. It's because he doesn't want to conflict with Meltdown, I guess. I'm sure he plays Kingdom. Oh man, like it's terrible, but it's so funny, especially in singles because there's no side decking. There's no like game 2 and 3, so it makes it a lot easier to just absolutely cheese wins that you should not be able to cheese. No, I can do burn damage and Card of Demise. They said it couldn't be done. Okay, draw any burn card. So even if this misses, I can just use the second one to make sure it hits. Oh, Dragon Link. Or Blue Eyes or something. Oh, I can do this. That is rough. This deck's so bad. It's just There's no real way to interact with it if you only play game once. Alright, so here is the final list that I came up with. I'm pretty happy with it. There is no standard list for Nurse Burn like I mentioned earlier, so this is not a perfect list. If you guys want to change things, feel free to go ahead and do that. This deck is also not built for matches. It does have a side deck, but if you were to play this deck in a tournament, I imagine you'd probably include cards like Mystic Mine into your main deck. Anyway, we have 3 copies of Nurse, 2 copies of the Dark Lord Draw 2 card. I think this card is pretty important for this deck. It seems like a lot of people don't like it, but you don't want to brick on multiple copies of Nurse or multiple copies of Banishment of the Dark Lords, so this card kind of evens out your hands, and many of the best wins that I got were because of this card, unbricking my hand and drawing into better cards. Next up, we have 1 copy of Lilith, the Lady of Lament. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't want to brick on too many copies of the Nurse type of cards, the 9 that you have, so if you already have Bad Reaction, for example, then Lilith can get to a gift card or a Try and Guess or a Paths of Destiny, so that was a pretty good choice. I don't think you want more than 1 copy. It is a normal summon and you already have a lot of normal summons, but the 1 copy was pretty good. This card was not my idea, by the way. I saw it in a YouTube Nurse Burn deck profile from a few months ago. We have 3 copies of Banishment to search either Nurse or the Dark Lord Ichdel. We have 1 copy of Upstart Goblin, which does deal 1000 damage to the opponent if you have the Nurse. We have 3 copies of Pot of Desires. I know it might seem like Pot of Desires is not better than Extravagance or Prosperity, but man is this card good. You can draw into other draw spells, which Extravagance and Prosperity can't do, and it was a great addition to the deck. You don't really care about banishing anything. Obviously, if you banish all 3 copies of Nurse and all 3 copies of Bad Reaction, it's going to be pretty tough, but that never happened in a single game of playing this deck, so Pot of Desires has been a great choice. 3 copies of Pot of Duality, great card for this deck. 1 copy of Into the Void, 1 copy of Card of Demise. This was probably the most surprising card of this deck. This was a later addition after like an hour or 2 of testing, and it was so good every single time I drew it. Such a great card for a deck like this. We have 3 copies of the Paths of Destiny, so usually, as you guys saw in the clips, when you win the game, you have 1 copy of this and then 2 copies of either gift cards or Try and Guess, or maybe gift card and Try and Guess, so that deals exactly 8000 damage. When you have Nurse or Bad Reaction on the board, this card always inflicts 2000 damage to the opponent. We have 3 copies of gift card, of course, probably the best card in the deck besides the actual Nurse cards. We have 3 copies of Try and Guess, 3 copies of Bad Reaction, 3 copies of Trap Trick, which can get towards any of these great traps, usually gift card though, and then 3 copies of Secret Barrel. So one thing that I found with this deck is that sometimes you can only deal 7000 damage to your opponent. That would be if you had like 2 copies of Paths and then 1 gift card, that would only be 7000, and Secret Barrel will do 1200 damage to your opponent on their very first turn, assuming they didn't use any hand traps against you. So this card is a great way to close out games. And then the biggest like tech cards that I played in my deck are 2 copies of Gravedigger's Trap Hole and 2 copies of Ring of Destruction. So these cards are interruption, I guess, but it doesn't really matter that they do that. They're more important for their burn damage, and these are cards that do burn damage regardless of what other cards you have, and that can be pretty good. Gravedigger's Trap Hole does a flat 2000 damage, but it can be tricky to trigger in certain matchups. But Ring of Destruction, while it doesn't do flat damage, is a really great card that oftentimes can actually do more than 2000 damage. I don't think you need more than 2 copies of either of these cards. You can set them with Trap Trick, by the way, so that's pretty cool, and they're cards you really don't want to see in multiples, but I felt like these cards really pushed the deck over the edge, kind of for the same reason that Secret Barrel does. You know, sometimes you only have like a gift card and a Try and Guess, and then one of these cards can close out the game. Please note, with Ring of Destruction, you are not allowed to target a monster whose attack is greater than your opponent's life points, so if you have like Ring plus 2 gift cards, make sure to use the Ring first and then the 2 gift cards to ensure that you can actually win the game. You could, theoretically, if you targeted a 2000 attack monster, still use Ring, even if your opponent is at 2000 life points, but that's not super likely, so just keep in mind that Ring of Destruction does have that downside with the current errata. So that is the entire deck list. You play extra deck cards just because you need at least some of them for Try and Guess. You could play 1 Fusion, 1 Xyz, 1 Synchro if if you ever wanted to gain life points off of the try and guess. I would not recommend that though, because sometimes your opponent only has like one Xyz monster in their extra deck. So if you play one in your extra deck, that means that if you try and guess, you might not be able to deal any damage, which can be pretty frustrating. So I think 15 link monsters is the way to go. The ones that you play don't really matter. I suppose you could play ones that are actually summonable in this deck. I don't really care though. I think that this deck doesn't really want to win by link summoning at all. It's pretty rare that you even have two monsters on the board at the same time. Anyway, that is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you later. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.